Joining me is Clare Rowe, a leading child and adolescent psychologist. Clare, always great to catch up with you. Now, look, I've got to be honest, I've got to say this is a good plan for children with bad parents in particular, right? Get these children out of the home somewhere structured. I hear so many horror stories of children that aren't doing well at home. But is this really the great revolution that most children do need?
Yeah, thanks, Andrew. Well, the answer is I'm not quite sure. The detail is really sketchy on this, and I've tried to seek out some clarification today. So I'm hoping with the New South Wales budget next week we'll get some answers to some of my questions. And I think my first one is, what is the aim here? What are we going to measure success by? Is it, as some are suggesting today in the media, to raise academic standards of kids? We know that we're falling behind now in our plans and on the worldwide stage. I would argue as an educational psychologist that will be negligible to zero of giving 3 to 4 year olds a head start. It will not do anything for our academic standards. And if we're going to invest billions of dollars, can we please look at our curriculum for our primary school students that is filled with nonsense, get back to evidence-based learning? That's a whole other topic. But I don't think we can take the argument that this will increase our academic standards and results. Conversely, is the aim here to relieve financial pressures on families and to encourage, as you say, parents, especially mothers, to return to the workforce? And if that is the aim, well, this could be a very helpful initiative. Should kids have a year of preschool? And, can I just say that so far as I can tell with this rollout, we're not talking about a whole different curriculum. We have what they're suggesting right now. It's called preschool. It's a very good play-based curriculum. Most kids attend it. 3 days a week before they go into kindergarten. I actually think that's a very, very good thing, not because they're learning their reading and writing and we're trying to push them early, but they're socialising, they're learning concentration skills, they're learning structure. I'm one of the very fortunate and privileged parents that I only need to send my son to preschool 3 days a week. The other 2 days, I'm very fortunate he can stay at home with his parents. Now, if you're a parent who needs to send 5 days a week, I don't begrudge that and I don't judge that. And in fact, I'm kind of saving the spot there for someone that really needs it. Now, I'm just unclear, this program that these premiers are suggesting, they're saying it's a 5-day-a-week program. Will I, as a parent, if I want to join this government-funded program, need to send my son now 5 days a week before kindergarten? And as a developmental psychologist, I don't think that that's the best thing for him and plenty of other children. So it's very unclear whether we can do this part-time as we are now. And if that's the case, all we're announcing today is that the government is going to fund preschool for the 12 months leading up to school. But if they are suggesting that, no, it will be a 5-day-a-week only program and opt-in and opt-out, well, there's a little bit of keeping up with the Joneses and there's competition anyway by the time you reach kindergarten. And people will feel a bit pressured to maybe, well, I should be putting them in 5 days a week. And we will just be tagging on to another year of school. And I don't fundamentally agree with that.
Yeah, well, of course, because look at the way it's being sold. It's the best start for a kid. They'll get better learning. They'll have a head start getting an education. Well, you'd be a bad mum, not to a bad dad, not to stick your child in as well. And 5 days, this just strikes me as too much. And look, it seems to me we now have governments putting much more effort and much more money into helping mothers go to work rather than stay at home with their children if they choose. And the thing is, to pay for all this puts taxes on those and everyone else. And it seems to me the whole picture then is to devalue full-time motherhood.
Yeah, it is, absolutely. There is a move absolutely to undermine that and undermine that choice. And that's why I kind of had issue with that last sentence by the Premier, as you did yourself, where women need a choice. And I have a choice at the moment. I have a choice to work part-time and have a child part-time at home. And I just feel that if this program came into play, I would feel pressure that I wouldn't have a choice. I actually think it will undermine my choice as a mother to feel that, well, maybe I should be. I mean, I can't imagine that come kindergarten, we're going to have a two-tiered system, aren't we? We're going to have the children who've been in this 5-day-a-week already 12-month program, and we're going to have the poor kids that haven't done that. And how's that going to play out? But as I said in the beginning, I don't think that that's actually going to make much of a difference come grade 2, grade 3. I think everyone will even out anyway academically and sort themselves out. And I think if there's anything that we need to be talking about, and I know there's some ludicrous suggestions today that, you know, as Matt Keane said, it was going to kind of increase, give $2 back to the economy, and these kids are going to get better, well-paying jobs after year 12. I think that's just ridiculous, and I don't know what research that comes from. But actually what we need to be looking at is, why are we falling behind? It's because of the lack of evidence-based teaching. We're not teaching even spelling, phonetically based reading programs, the curriculum's overfilled with emotional self-care and yoga classes and all these special days that we actually, teachers don't have time to be teaching rote learning, reading, writing, maths. That is the core problem with at least the New South Wales curriculum, and I'd hazard a guess nationwide. And teachers need to be unshackled from all this other nonsense filled in it. And we may not have the problem where we actually need to think, gosh, we need to give these 4-year-olds a head start. Leave them at home with their parents if their parents can, and let them unfold and naturally, developmentally, you know, as nature intended, and let them start school a little bit later.
Well, actually, Claire, I mean, if you're looking for why children may be falling behind in schools, as you say, I wouldn't start with, oh, well, look, we don't pop them in at age 3 or 4. The stats last week, very startling, where you actually saw a tremendous drop-off in school achievement by boys going on to the later years of secondary school in particular. There is, if you want to do anything about, you know, improving standards, look at boys later on in their schooling where they really fall off.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, I almost feel like it's a bit of a sad indictment on kind of forgetting those later years, isn't it? It's like, oh, well, what we'll do is we'll just push them in earlier. That is not the solution at all. You know, look at the effect of COVID had and the amount of dropouts now from year 10 not going on to year 12 because they're completely disengaged because they've been locked down. There are so many issues that, you know, at the coalface of dealing with parents and children, if someone had said to me, look, where do you want to spend $9 billion? I could have given them a whole list of things before I'd say, let's put a 3.5-year-old in 5 days a week in a structured curriculum. I actually think that is completely exhausting, developmentally inappropriate, neurologically inappropriate, and, you know, I really worry about the way that that's going. I mean, if we look at research at all, there's plenty of research studies coming out of countries like Finland that have a much later start time that suggest they're having better academic outcomes with kids starting school at age 6 and 7. You know, so I'd really be interested in a little bit more detail where they've gotten this research from that would suggest this is going to work. And can we please look at some of the older grades and what they're struggling with? And as you said, address those issues first.
Absolutely. Clare Rowe, thank you so much for your time.